This is the Crazy Angels podcast, and today we are going to talk about the song Dark Eyes, which is also a tribute to a friend and colleague of Pascal.
I wonder, David, did you want to talk about the arrangement a little bit?
Yeah. Let's see here. First of all, let me just see what's going on over here. Yeah, it's interesting as you're talking about the Indo-Persian connection, and I when I originally did the arrangement for this, I didn't know all the details of her or any of her background. I literally only learned of the broader in-depth meanings of this song. But in Ottoman music and also in Indo-Persian music, the way that orchestral strings, because a lot of musical ideas got went from Europe and traveled into the Middle East and into Asia. And one of the things that's used very sparingly in Western classical music is glissandi, or the idea of sliding and bending the note of a stringed instrument. Whereas in the Eastern tradition, using the same instruments, they do so much of it. And I don't know if this is like, how or why this happened, but I used, you'll hear, well, here, let's start by listening to just the
Yeah.
strings, because you're going to hear there's a overusage, I would even argue, of the glissandi going on in here. Let's see if we can try just starting with I mean, it's like, and I just like, I don't know if it was like, because you always say to me that I intuit
Yeah,
arrangements,
you
and like,
did.
that's kind of weird, man. It's kind of because like
It's
I normally use glissandi in a
oh.
sparing way, in sort of the way that in the orchestral traditions of the early, mid, late romantic composers, all the way
Mm.
through Frank Sinatra. But on this one, I
Mhm.
mean, you can just hear I'm overusing glissandi. Ooh. And I
Wow.
know you always go on like, oh, these arrangements, but these literally are nothing without these chords and your melodies. Like that entire movement and all the contours of the string arrangements that I've put in here
Mm.
would be nothing without these chords. It's all based on your chords, and the chords
Mm.
are just gorgeous. I mean, these are just delicious chords. Modal interchange, like
Hmm.
C major seven to like G minor seven. That's like Mixolydian stuff going on there. To a
Yeah.
C seven, to an F major seven, to an A seven, and then to a D minor seven, and so these contours that you're hearing on these string lines, like I literally, they would be nothing if I didn't have these lovely chords that Pascal is doing. So
Wow.
as far as that goes, I mean, this it's always, we always say this on the podcast, the star of the show is always the song, right? Like that's always the star of the show. And you know the second star would probably be Pascal's voice. And as far as arranging goes, this is Davide Sambrota
Mm.
and Luca um, Camarota on guitars, and me doing drums, bass, and strings. I guess you could think of it that way.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's fairly oops, it's a fairly straight ahead arrangement. Just go here with some. Um, oh yes, and of course my live congas. I can't
Mm.
my live conga playing. So
Love the congas.
put some guitars in. And like
Ooh.
the feel of Luca, his
Ah.
rhythmic feeling
Oh yeah.
is really incredible. And you know, well, it is what it is. It's just lovely. He's such a great, wonderful player.
Mm. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then of course Davide Samprota
Mm.
on pianos. He's just sort of dancing around Luca a little bit there,
Mm.
with these very sort of just it's a lot more textural,
Mm.
wide, super wide voicings.
Mm.
We are so blessed to have this
Wow.
guy in the Crazy Angels band. He's
Oh,
honestly, if there's a star of the band, it's got to be him. Like he
he's
is just,
extraordinary.
he's really is. He's
It's
incredible.
crazy.
Um,
I,
so
I do love how the
yes,
strings exude Indian, Persian, Ottoman
and I
vibes.
literally just, I don't know how that even happened. Honestly,
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
did.
You
I
sensed
just
it.
don't
Yeah,
know how
yeah,
to.
well, artists
You
intuit
always say,
things, right?
yeah,
You do
I
it, man.
always
I don't
say
know how you do
intuit,
it.
and I don't know either, but in this case, yeah. So
Dark eyes, maybe
even when they first come in, let me just hear that.
dark eyes.
Yeah, here they are again doing the
Hmm.
very.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I will
Oh, those
never know. But anyway,
suspensions are so delicious.
yeah, they're definitely
Hmm.
everything blends. And the beauty of this is that you know in my dialoguing with the band, we'll discuss very often like how we want certain things to be, and sort of like who instrumentally is going to be filling in what spaces. And for whatever reason, this one of the sort of major roles here is the string arrangement. And both Davide and Luca are just supportive. They're not really doing much other than supporting, just like the drums and the bass and the
Hmm.
congas. I forget my congas, right? Uh, so anyway, um, yeah. What was I going to say about that? Yeah, I mean, other than that, I think that's it. And then I suppose like on the bridge, I wanted a different textures for the strings.
Hmm.
So this is very much, a polar opposite of
Hmm.
Basandi. It's spiccato and it's very
Hmm.
detached style. And there's still on. There's also other um, strings as well. So, oops.
A distant laugh on a summer night, a tune that I can't quite recall.
So sharp 11
Hmm.
on the
Oh,
dominant.
beautiful, beautiful. Oh, man.
Sorry, and I mean, as much as I would love to be able to take credit for stuff like that, that's right out of the Sinatra playbook, But I'm a good student, What do you want?
Hey,
Anyway,
it
so
works,
that I
man.
mean, that's it. That's pretty much it for the arrangement.
Yeah.
Unless anyone had any questions about anything, but it's
I
basically just drums, bass, guitar, piano, and strings, and of course Pascal's voice and his wonderful chords.
just love how all these styles, there's bossa nova, there's jazz, there's big
Mhm.
band, there's Indo-Persian poetry, ghazals, and Suparna's poems, and Bollywood musicals and brightly
Yeah.
colored saris, all implied and intuited in this song, and you know, I wondered if we could get fresh eyes and get
Yeah.
Levi's corner. Levi's
That's
insights are
corner.
always so useful.
Yes, yes. Well, if I may, uh, comb, if I may give, just a comment as a start.
Please.
What strikes me, um, especially, in our podcast, we often discuss the situation of the artist in the age of AI, and just, the coincidence of the Ottoman strings, which was subliminally, just channeled.
Must have.
Um, that's just the perfect example of what AI cannot do, because it's these
Right.
experiences, this experience that we just realized it's like magic happened, and it's
Mhm.
it's born out of the human experience, and born out of,
Good point.
yeah, it's born out of the human experience. And I just realized, I think, um and please give your view on this.
Well, as we always say, we like technology. We don't mind AI. We use AI. It's like a really smart intern or a bunch of smart interns. So if it can save us time, reduce hassle, okay. But we tell stories, and that means there's a blank page or there's silence, and you fill that with yourself. I think of it as the silence or the blank page just pulls me into it, And that's what AI cannot do. So we don't reject AI and technology. We love
Yeah,
technology, but we use it to allow us to tell the story in the best way possible and create hopefully some kind of magic. So
Like
yeah, that's my
AI
thought.
can only analyze what has been. That's it.
yeah,
So if you think about a screenwriter like Woody Allen, like whatever you may think about him as a person is irrelevant. Um, but prior to him, the sort of standard Hollywood, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy works really hard and gets the girl back in the end. This has always been the romantic comedy formula. And then Woody Allen is like, yeah, but what if we did boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy tries to get girl back in the end, but never gets her, and there's zero chance of her ever getting her back again, ever. The end. Just like
Yeah,
so anyone who feels like a loser and like messed up the best relationship of their life is going to be able to relate to a film like Annie Hall. Um, so like AI would never have come up with Annie Hall. That's just that's how I feel about it anyway. In the same way that AI could have never come up with like Kind of Blue, Miles
hmm
Davis, right?
hmm
That's where he took his own limitations as a mediocre trumpet player, and then gave birth to cool jazz. Like that was his whole thing: play in the middle, don't play too fast, don't play high notes, but make this new cool you know, modal jazz and Dorian. Nobody had thought of that.
Yeah, yeah.
This is human ingenuity and the use of intuition. And yeah, Pascal always says, as a producer and an arranger, I always intuit what he's feeling. AI can't intuit anything, as far as I'm concerned. It can train on everything that came before, right?
it
But
yeah, AI
it's fun.
imitates, it imitates the human experience, and the art that is born out of the human experience. But that imitation has no meaning, and it's just a copy. It's a binary code.